Ever since I was born, me and my sister shared a bedroom. I loved being able to hang out with her, and we got along very well, most of the time. We would play games and make our room into a jungle gym, and had a pretty great childhood together. But sometimes we did need our own space. When we got older, we divided up our rooms so we could each have our own area. We still got along well, but it was nice to have our own side. Now, me and my sister live in the same house, but we have our own rooms. That doesn't mean our space is unlimited because we also live with Casey, 3 dogs, 3 snakes, a bearded dragon, and a turtle. But we all make it work because we have the whole house to share. Could you imagine if 3 people, 3 dogs, and 5 reptiles all lived together in one room? How about 8 people in one room? No alone time and probably very cramped. This is exactly what it was like for a young girl named Anne Frank and her family. In the 1930s, Jewish people were looked at as inferior to the Germans, and many people's lives were turned upside down. The story of Anne Frank's experience through this time makes me appreciate my childhood and realize sharing my room and a house with others is nothing short of a blessing. Anne and her sister Margot may have shared a room, but her story is much different than mine. Anne Frank was born in Frankfurt, Germany on June 12, 1929. She lived with her parents Otto and Edith and had an older sister named Margot. Anne was a typical kid, loved to joke around, and had a lot of friends. Her dream was to become a writer. She received a diary for her birthday so she could further her ambition to write. Little did she know, her writing would become one of the most memorable stories in history. In 1933, Hitler rose to power. He was the primary cause for the growth of hatred towards Jewish people. This led multiple families, including the Franks, to immigrate to the Netherlands for a better life. Things then started looking up for the family. She was going to school, and her father started up his own business. Their carefree life seemed to be back, but not for long. Germany invades Poland, and World War II starts. German troops invade the Netherlands. Hitler enforced anti-Jew regulations, and all Jews had to register with the Germans. For the Frank family, they were affected majorly. Otto had to turn his business over to his non-Jewish friends, and all Jews had to wear a yellow star to be identified as Jewish. The biggest thing that Hitler was enforcing was taking Jews to concentration camps. These camps were basically work camps where Jews were forced to do hard labor until they died. They were underfed and had terrible working conditions. This is when Anne Frank's family decided to go into hiding to stay safe. On July 6, 1942, the Frank family goes into hiding in a secret annex Otto and his co-workers made. The 4 of them, another family, the Van Pell family, and soon after, the Fritz Pfeiffer, a dentist, all were hiding together. 8 people in a tiny attic. Being in the attic was very difficult. They had to be very quiet, tiptoed, and could only talk in a whisper during the day. Otto's friends were their access to the outside world. They would bring them food, clothes, and books as often as they could. Being together in a small area all of the time led Anne to go off on her own and write her experiences in her diary. She decided to write a novel called The Secret Annex, which ended up being the historic story known today. The 8 people in the attic were hiding for 2 years. News was good, and it seemed as if the war was coming to an end and Germany was losing. But then disaster struck. On August 4, 1944, the people in hiding and all of their helpers were caught and arrested. They were deported to Auschwitz, and the men and women were separated. Sadly, Otto was the only one to survive. Edith, Anne, and Margot all died in the concentration camps. When Otto finally made his way back to the Netherlands and gets the news that all of his family is dead, he is devastated. He is given Anne's diary that was found in the attic that they were hiding out in for 2 years. He was very moved by her writing and made the decision to publish her novel on June 25, 1947. This gave the opportunity for people all around the world to learn of the Frank story and the hardships they had to live through. In 1960, the Anne Frank house becomes a museum, and Otto was very involved until his death in 1980. The story of Anne Frank and the struggle she had to go through at such a young age still lives on today. Even though she wasn't alive for her book to be published, we still honor her diary as one of the most compelling stories of all time. This is why it is so important to be accepting of others, especially of things people cannot control. We don't want one person's negative opinion on someone to cause history to repeat itself.